تحت الكساء. فقال لأبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل إن الله. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر قبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. وقال علي عليه السلام إذن والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال أبي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني برسالة نجيا ما ذكر قبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيهم معموم إلا وفرج الله حما ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غما ولا طالب حاجتي إلا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي عليه السلام إذن والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. I would like to invite Brother Ibrahim for a salam. Please. Kind of one blunter salawat.
صلوات. صلوات. گونجی بوقت عصر صدا میں حسین ہوں. گونجی بوقت عصر صدا میں حسین ہوں. گونجی بوقت عصر صدا میں حسین ہوں. کاٹو نہ میرا خشک گلا, ہاں کاٹو نہ میرا خشک گلا, میں حسین ہوں. گونجی بوقت عصر صدا میں حسین ہوں. گونجی بوقت عصر صدا میں حسین ہوں. کاٹو نہ میرا خشک گلا, ہے کاٹو نہ میرا خشک گلا, ہوں گونجی بوقت عصر صدا میں حسین ہوں گونجی بوقت عصر صدا میں حسین ہوں اماں کسی نے پانی کی ایک بوند بھی نہ دی اماں کسی نے پانی کی ایک بوند بھی نہ دی میں بار بار کہتا رہا ہے میں بار بار کہتا رہا میں حسین ہوں گونجی بوقت عصر صدا میں حسین ہوں شیری کے گھر پہ پہنچا جب رانڈوں کا قافلہ شیری کے گھر پہ پہنچا جب رانڈوں کا قافلہ نیزے سے ایک سر نے کہا ہاں نیزے سے ایک سر نے کہا میں حسین ہوں گونجی بوقت عصر صدا میں حسین ہوں دربار میں لعین کے کوہرام مچ گیا دربار میں لعین کے کوہرام مچ گیا مختار سے جو سر نے کہا ہاں مختار سے جو سر نے کہا میں حسین ہوں گونجی بوقت عصر صدا میں حسین ہوں زانوں پہ رکھ کے سر کو کہا ایک ضعیف نے زانوں پہ رکھ کے سر کو کہا ایک ضعیف نے اکبر کہاں ہے درد بتا ہے اکبر کہاں ہے درد بتا میں حسین ہوں گونجی بوقت عصر صدا میں حسین ہوں اے شامیوں کفن نہ دیا مجھ کو غم نہیں اے شامیوں کفن نہ دیا مجھ کو غم نہیں دے دو میری بہن کو ردا ہے دے دو میری بہن کو ردا میں حسین ہوں گونجی بوقت عصر صدا میں حسین ہوں. محسوس ہو رہا ہے کہ مقتل سے آج بھی محسوس ہو رہا ہے کہ مقتل سے آج بھی آواز آ رہی ہے رضا. آواز آ رہی ہے رضا. میں حسین ہوں گونجی بوقت عصر صدا. میں حسین ہوں کاٹو نہ میرا خشک گلا. کاٹو نہ میرا خشک گلا. میں حسین ہوں گونجی بوقت عصر صدا. میں حسین ہوں. صلوات.
Thank you, Ibrahim, for that beautiful recitation. Can we have one loud salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. First, I'd like to invite you all closer. It's Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This is to make room for people in the back who might come late to the Majalis so they can also attend. Assalamu alaikum mu'mineen. As you are aware, these programs are made possible through your support. So please sponsor a Majlis or just donate to Talpuranko at the front. We have ATM machines, they take cash. Your generous donations will help us arrange more programs like this and will ensure the future for Dua Center. I would like to now call Dr. Shaeba Rizvi to the member. Can I have one loud salawat?
Thank you, Jazakallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Rahimallahu man kara al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغه مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون. الذي لا يدركه بعد الهمم ولا يناله غوص الفتن. الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت معدود ولا أجل ممدود. فطر الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته ووتد بالصخور ميدان أرضه. أول الدين معرفته. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خير المبشرين والمنذرين شفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Dearest mu'mineen, mu'minat, my youngers, my elders, we continue with our topic of science and religion. The first thing we are saying is that science is not versus religion, rather it is science and religion. Now, my actual topic was the science of religion and the religion of science, which basically means that science and religion, what are these things? And as we talk about these things, maybe the title will make sense, the science of religion and the religion of science. So the science of religion means that in religion, is there science? Or is religion against science? Why did science and religion start to fight? Do you know that in Islam, science was promoted, science was enhanced, science was given its principles through Islam? Do you know modern science today exists through what we call the Renaissance period of Europe? That means in Europe, science came into being. And this happened during the Renaissance period, which was after the medieval ages. So we're looking at around after 1200 AD. And at this time in Christianity and science, we saw a fight. And the fight was the church was saying that the earth is the center of the solar system, and Galileo with his telescope and other scientists were saying that no, the sun is the center of the solar system. So is the earth the center of the solar system, or is it the sun? Now in school you study and you know that it is the sun, but at that time it was something that was being debated. So when science and religion started to fight each other, it was actually a fight of the church and those who were scientists. It was not a fight of the mosque and science. Islam, in fact, has always promoted science. In fact, there are some hypotheses and books that talk about the historical significance of the Renaissance period when in Europe science started to take its form. This happened about 600 years after Islam came into its being. And it is said that when Islam started to conquer lands and went forward and went into Europe, at that time many books that were being taught in Islamic schools, that means books that were being taught by students of the Imams. So you will see, Jabir ibn Hayyan, for example, the father of chemistry. You will see astronomy, you will see alchemy, you will see algebra. Right now, your smartphones, your smart watches are all based on computer programming that is based on the principles that were laid down in algebra. So these, algebra itself, you study in school, and it has the letters AL in front of it. This was an Arabic name, al-something, al-that, al-jabra. Al is an Arabic word. So this word is coming from there. We used to call it alchemia, and now it becomes chemistry. That means Muslims were during the time of the 6th Imam alayhi salam and onwards, they were the peak of science. They were spreading science everywhere. But what happened was that then, bad leadership, greed, hunger, let's spread everything by the sword. This is where then things started to go wrong for us. But up until about, 1000, 1100 AD, we were still the foremost in science. Then what happened? When the Muslims went into Europe and they brought their books, then many of the Europeans read those books and they benefited from those books. And they didn't give credit to the Muslims because there was a bias. And they started taking credit for many of the inventions themselves and many of the new things that were found in science. The telescope and astronomy was something that Muslims had been doing for a long time. And now we see that in Europe, Europeans took this, and there's nothing wrong with that. Good, they took it, and they started to build it and promote it. So now what happens is you see that there is a European science that is fighting the Church of Rome during the Renaissance period, but that science the Europeans learned was coming from the Muslims, and the Muslims learned it from your imams. So your imams are the reason for the promotion of science. Islam has never been against science. Islam has always promoted it because it is knowledge. And Islam has always said, seek knowledge, and seek knowledge wherever you can find it. So what happens is, these two are not against each other. But it was simply at that time in that area that they started to fight. Until today they are fighting. Until today, scientists, many, have a little grudge against religion because they're thinking that religion is trying to stifle them and it is full of ignorance and it wants to stop progress. But it's not like that at all. Amir al-Mu'mineen talked about many principles of science at that time. So there are things, he said at that time, if I want to, I could create electricity from water. People didn't even know what electricity was at his time. But he was giving the principle of your water dams and then the dams producing electricity, and still today we use it. So this was there. Our science is very strong. One time a man from India comes to our Imam, Jafar al-Sadiq as-salatu was-salam, and says that I am a medicine man and I have come from India. And he sits in front of your Imam and he says that I have come here to teach you. And my Imam says, what are you going to teach me? And he says, I will teach you the medicine I have learned. The Imam says that what I have is better than what you have. And he says, why do you say that? He says, okay, Imam says, okay, let me ask you some questions. If you can answer these questions, then yes, perhaps you can teach me. So the Imam says, what is your field? What are you an expert in? And the medicine man from India, at that time it was Hind, it was called Hind, so he was a Hindi. And he said that I have studied the human body. I'm an expert in the human body. So the Imam says, okay, tell me this. Why do you have hair on your head, but you don't have hair on your forehead? He says, I don't know. The Imam says, why do you have eyebrows? I don't know. Okay, why is your nose in the center of your face? I don't know. Why do you have eyelashes? Why are the lashes of your eyes thin, but the hair of your eyebrows thick? The Hindi medicine man says, I don't know. Okay, why are your lips below your nose? I don't know. Okay, why are your eyes almond-shaped? I don't know. Okay, then why do you have hair here above your upper lip? I don't know. And then he goes on and asks many questions, and I don't want to turn it into a biology lecture, but he says, why do your arms bend forward but your legs bend backwards? He says, why is your heart pine-shaped and seated in between your lungs? He says, I don't know. And so then he says, oh, teach me. Now immediately this man is amazed, because these were not very hard questions. These were the easy ones. He wasn't asking him about the genetic makeup of a cell. He didn't ask him about, what kind of cells you have in your blood. He didn't ask him about specific organs. Just simple, idhar baal hai, udhar baal hai. Baalon ka hi bata do. Amirul Mu'mineen se kaha tha, mere sar pe kitne baal hai. Imam ne kaha ki main bata bhi dunga to tum ginoga kaise? Pehle sare baal ukhadne padenge, uske baad ek ginna padega. So, he says, I don't know, why do we have hair like this? And the Imam says, the reason you have hair on your head is so that oils and medicines can transfer through the pores of your skull and benefit your brain. And even today, we apply oil. It wouldn't go through if there were not pores there. The Imam says that do you know why you have these creases on your forehead? Why do we have creases on our forehead? The Imam says these serve like riverbeds. So when sweat comes from your head, it comes down, it goes through these creases, and it doesn't come directly into your eyes. How many times do you sweat, but how many times do your eyes actually sting? The Imam says, do you know why you have eyebrows? You have eyebrows also to absorb that sweat so it doesn't reach your eyes. The Imam says, you know why your eyes are almond-shaped? They're almond-shaped because this becomes easier for you to wipe your eyes. In other words, you can simply wipe the eyes like this because they're almond-shaped. He says because they are oval and almond-shaped, it also allows the application of medicine into your eyes. And Allah, when He created your eyes, He created them a specific shape so that later on, if you ever get a disease, you can apply medicine there as well. He says, do you know why your eyelashes are thin but your eyebrows are thick? Your eyebrows absorb sweat, but what do your eyelashes do? It's incredible. Tell me this, can you see your eyelashes? Do you want to tell me why you have eyelashes? Subhanallah. You have eyelashes to protect the dirt from getting in your eye, but tell me, can you see them? Try to see them. Just for a moment. You don't see them. They're right in front of your eye. They're dangling right there. Go look in the mirror. Your eye is here and your eyelashes are right here. Yet you do not see your eyelashes. Do you see the perfection in the creation of Allah? That He has made the eyelashes thin. He has put them there so they protect you from dust and insects, but they are so thin that they don't reflect light. Light does not get reflected off the eyelashes, otherwise you would be able to see your own eyelashes. He says your nose is in the center because this is going to split light as well, which allows you to see things. So when light is coming from above towards your eyes, it gets split by your nose. He says, do you know why your nostrils point down and they don't point straight out? Why? Because when your nose runs, then that substance will come down. And then the mustache here will prevent the sour and bitter taste from reaching your tongue. He says, do you know why your lips are so sensitive? Why? So that anything that comes near your lips when you're about to put it in, and the situation of your nose is such, you will be able to taste and smell it before it goes into your mouth. So that you know what to eat and you know what not to. And when your nose is against it or your lips are against it, then you don't put it in your mouth. He says, do you know why your arms bend forward but your legs bend backwards? Why? He says, because when you want to use your arms, you will pull things towards you. So you need your arms to bend. If they only bend backwards, you would only be able to push things away from you. You would not be able to pull things towards you. You see, your arms are made for hugging. Your arms are made for taking things and bringing them to you. He says your legs bend backwards. Why? So that you can walk forward. If they bent the other way, you wouldn't be able to walk forward. Like, you know, like the creature they talk about in Pakistan, they would scare us of the churel, which had the feet backward. And so I don't know how they walk. I haven't seen them, or if they exist. But your knees, they bend in a perfect way. One thing that I never ever even thought about as a student of anatomy, he says that your heart is placed between your lungs. You know why? Why do you have lungs on either side? Why? He says that your heart is always beating, and with that friction, it will develop heat, and the lungs take in cool air, and the air coming in and out of your lungs, it cools the heart down. Subhanallah. What perfection there is. Then he goes on to talk about the kidneys and the liver, but I think we've made the point, and the point is just that. Science is coming from religion. But what is the difference and what is the limit of science? And what is the limitlessness of religion? Science is looking at the physical, but religion will tell you about the metaphysical. Science is through senses and intellect. So you must use your 5 senses to understand science. And the scientist will use their intellect and their senses. Their intellect will be used either to make a hypothesis, to come up with an idea. Maybe this is right. I don't know. That's what science says. That's a theory, right? What does a theory mean? A theory means some person thought of something and said, hey, maybe this is right. And now when he thought of it and said, hey, maybe this is right, now he wants to prove it. So what he does is he does experimentation. And through experimentation, he finds out if it's right or wrong. But it starts with a person thinking, hey, I wonder if this is why this happens. I wonder if doing this will make electricity. I wonder if we have an engine and we put it in a car, it will move forward. I wonder if we make wings like a bird and we put them on, it will actually fly. Do you know that science takes everything from the observable universe around you? Everything in science is based on what you have around you. Everything, even from the simplest things. Whether it is airplanes, we wouldn't have known to fly airplanes and build them unless we had seen a bird. That's what happened first. Allah gave us that. We wouldn't have known to make a ship that traveled in the ocean unless we had actually seen things floating in the ocean. We learned about it from the most complex things to the most simple things. They're all coming from nature. Velcro. Velcro comes from nature. Velcro is one of our newer inventions. You all know what Velcro is? Velcro is the sticky stuff you have on your sandals, like on your shoes or on a jacket or on a bag. Velcro? No? Velcro. Okay, Velcro. I don't have anything Velcro on me right now. But Velcro. Anybody have Velcro on them? Velcro. Yes? You know what Velcro is. Velcro is, okay, when you tie your shoes, you have laces, right? And then you have those straps. You have a buckle. So you can have a buckle or a lace. And the third thing, what's the third thing? It's the strap that you can peel off and goes on. Have you ever seen that? One side is like kind of rough and with little spikes sticking out. One side is soft with these curves in it, and you can stick it together. It's very weak. It doesn't stay together very strong, but you can peel it on and off. Velcro. Why am I giving the example of Velcro? V-E-L-C-R-O, Velcro. It is based, you know how Velcro came into being? One guy in New York was walking his dog in a park. And in the park, when he was walking his dog runs off and goes off into some bushes. When he goes off into some bushes, his dog comes back. When dog comes back, he has burrs stuck on all his fur. You know burrs? Burrs are those little sticky things that come out of plants. They're like this big and very sticky. And when they stick to you, it's hard to get them off. One time I was gardening with gloves on, and there was a rose bush with some burrs in there, and they got stuck on my gloves in such a way that I couldn't take them off. They were stuck on. Very strong. If you ever want to know how to stick to something, look at a burr. And the next time a burr sticks to you, look at it and say how strong it is stuck on me. That is how you should stick to your iman. That is how you should stick to the vilayah of Amirul Mu'mineen. Stick onto it like a burr does. So when he started to try to take the burrs off his dog, it took him forever. And he had to cut all the hair off, and he was very frustrated. And he was so angry about this that he said, "What is this thing?" So he looked at it under a microscope. And when he looked at it under a microscope, he saw that it had little curves, many, many curves. And curves, what do they do? What do curves do in nature? Nature uses curves in many ways. Have you ever been in a line that is straight? And you're standing in a line that is straight. In COVID, we have had to stand in many lines. Sometimes the line is curved like this. When you go to the airport and security, immigration, etc., the bank line maybe. The line, when it's curved, what happens is you can fit more people in. So curves make more surface area. So nature made this incredible burr that had so many curves in it. What that means is when it sticks to something, it sticks very well. So that was the purpose. And so then what he did was he said, I'm going to make something that sticks just like this. So he invented Velcro. We have taken, do you know the bandages used in hospitals right now are based upon the gauze that they use to bandage? It's based upon the design of shark scales, the skin of a shark. The scales of a shark are such that no bacteria sticks to them. So they looked at it and said, hey, what is this? Why don't any bacteria stick here? And they looked at the design, and they said, what if in a hospital we make a bandage like this and then design it like that, and then bacteria won't stick to that either? So then they came up with the cotton gauze bandages used now in hospitals. Many things are like this. This is all coming from Allah's creation. This is all coming from what He did. All we've done is copied it. Bacteria. Did you know your Imam talked about bacteria? Your sixth Imam, 14 centuries ago. When they asked him, why should we not share combs? Why should we not share utensils, eating utensils? The Imam says at that time, do you know when we discovered bacteria? We discovered bacteria like about, when your Imam said this, over 1,000 years after this, we discovered bacteria. Your Imam Jafar al-Sadiq, as-salatu was-salamu alayhi. Says that there are little shayateen. He couldn't use the word bacteria for them. They wouldn't understand what bacteria are. He says there are little shayateen in the air that cause disease. Now the people at that time would have imagined little devils roaming around, but now we know what they look like because we've seen them under the microscope. Everybody knows what COVID virus looks like now. Well, your Imam said little shayateen in the air that can cause disease. One man, asked an Imam about, the human body, and your Imam said that, did you know that blood is circulating in your body? Did you know we didn't confirm blood was circulating in the body until 1600? And your Imam, 1,000 years before that, is saying that blood is circulating in your body, and there is a heart that is pumping this blood. So we see that everything is coming from religion. There's no real fight here. But what happens when we only follow science? We will only find the physical. What does science say? How was this universe created? You know, the Big Bang. There was a Big Bang. So what happened? There was nothing. Then suddenly there was a Big Bang. I don't know if it was loud or who heard it, but there was an explosion. And matter was created. How did it happen? We don't know. And so we say, okay, there was a Big Bang. But then the story ends. But then we want to know, okay, so how did the Big Bang happen? What happened before that? Now you have to go to religion. Religion will give you the reasons for everything, because that is metaphysical. And so what happens? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to create the universe. But He's going to use a mechanism to create the universe. So the first thing He will do is, now there is nothing. There is nothing, there's no matter, there's no time, there's no space. But now he's going to create energy. And this energy will be used to create everything. Did you know that energy can be converted into matter? Do you know what matter is? My cute little one sitting here. I'm trying to, I'm finding it challenging because I have, you know, this is a room with people very young and also, you know, primary, secondary, high school, college, university, adults. And so I do want to target everybody. But if there's some things I say that are a little difficult, you will of course come and ask me, my young ones. And do you know what matter is? Matter. Matter is anything like this glass, like this, anything you can touch, see, feel, anything that takes up space, this is matter. So matter. Energy is what? Energy is the force that creates matter. So Allah first wants to create energy. So the first thing that we see is this energy comes into being. This energy is being called Nur. Do you know what Nur is? Nur is light. But not like this light. This light is created from matter that was created from energy that was that Nur. So Nur, when you say Nur is light. But the Nur that we're talking about, the original Nur, that's not like this tube light. What do you imagine? Allah is Nur as well, right? We say Allahu Nuru samawati wal ard. Allah is Nur. So what do you imagine when you think of the Nur of Allah? Do you try to imagine something? When you're praying to Allah and you do sajda, what are you imagining about what's in front of you? Are you imagining a big ball of light? Imam says that if you imagine a big ball of light, that is your imagination. Imam says you are using your imagination to imagine Allah, and whatever is coming from your imagination is your own creation. It is not Allah. So anything I can imagine is not Allah. So if I imagine anything, it can't be Allah. This means that when you imagine something, your imagination, you know what your imagination really is? Your imagination takes what you can see around you and makes it into something. So Imam says, Imam Jafar al-Sadiq as-salatu was-salamu alayhi. Muhammad. Ya Ali. Imam says that you cannot imagine anything outside of the created universe. He challenges you. He said, try to imagine something outside of the created universe. You come from an era when people are writing stories, fictional movies. There's a whole production of fictional characters, and you're imagining aliens and all these things. Tell me, all of those things, are they brand new? Did you invent a color that was never there? Did you create something that was completely new? You know, what is the most fantastical creature that you know of in stories? Maybe the dragon. The dragon is very fantastic. I haven't seen a dragon, so maybe a human created a dragon. Did a human create the dragon from scratch? But maybe not, because maybe a dragon is just a big lizard with wings of a bat, and it spouts fire. So what did you do? You took a lizard, made it bigger, took the wings of a bat, put it on, and you put fire in there. It was nothing new. You took what you had from nature and put it together. So this means in your imagination cannot come Allah. If you are able to imagine this light over here, that nur is not Allah. Now the first nur that Allah creates is not something that we know what it looks like, that we can describe it. But we call it nur because nur is this light and this light is energy. So the first thing He creates is this nur. And this nur will be now used to create the entire universe. Allah names this nur. He calls it Nurul Wahid, the first nur. He calls it Nurul Asal. This is the nur that is the foundation of the creation of the universe. He calls it Nur-e Muhammadi, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Now this is the first nur, and this is the nur of the Masumeen. Using this nur, Allah will create everything now. From this nur, He separates another nur and says this is Nur-e Alvi. From that nur, he separates another nur and says, this is Nur Fatimi. From that nur, he separates another nur, Nur Hasani. From that, another one, Nurul Hussein. And then 14 nurs are created. From this, he says, I will create all of my universe. This is the ultimate energy source that will create all of the universe. And then he says that my might and my kingdom and my rulership and my domain will be from the law, the arsh, the kursi. So he says, from Nur Muhammadi, I will create the law and the qalam. The law is the tablet upon which all knowledge is written. The qalam is the pen with which it is written. It is coming from the nur of your holy prophet. And then he creates the arsh and the kursi. The arsh is the highest point in the universe. The kursi is upon that. This is the throne. Allah does not need a throne, He does not sit on a throne, but that throne signifies His might. He creates it from the nur of the Holy Prophet. Then after that, He takes the nur of Amirul Mu'mineen, and He says, from this I will create all of the angels. So from the energy that was in that nur, He creates all of the angels. That's why the angels now are doing all of the commands of Allah, but they are getting the commands of Allah from Amirul Mu'mineen. That means that this is the source now. So who is Jibreel getting his commands from? When Allah gives the command, Amirul Mu'mineen knows the command, and he gives the command to the angels, and then the angels are fulfilling those commands. So the nur of the Prophet is the nur of leadership and might and majesty of Allah. The nur of Amirul Mu'mineen, Imam Ali, now becomes the nur through which every action in all of the commands of Allah will be implemented. Then he says that we need our creation to be upon a land, so we must create lands. And we must have a sky so that they can know that there is somewhere to go, somewhere to ascend, somewhere from where blessings will come. So he creates all the land and all of the skies from the nur of Bibi Zahra, salamullah alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. So do you see how you are finding out through religion how the entire universe is created? You would never have learned it through the five senses and rationalization, because science is limited to the physical. This is metaphysical. Metaphysical means above the physical world, beyond the five senses. Is there something beyond your five senses? Beyond your five senses, there are things that which you have been able to grasp. There are cell phone waves here, but you don't see them. That isn't even metaphysical. That is physical. The nur of the Masumeen is metaphysical, something we cannot compare to anything in this world. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that now we will create all of the planets, the stars, and all of the suns and the moons, the asteroids, and He creates all of these from the nur of Imam Hassan. And after creating all of the universes that you discovered or not discovered, then He says, now we will create heavens. And then heaven and all that is in heaven is created from the nur of Imam Hussein. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajah. Ya Ali. And so all of these, and that is why after creating everything, now He created many different creations. We came later. He created the jinn before us. Jinn were around for a long time before us. Even our lineage, according to some narrations, isn't the first lineage of humans. We may not even be the first humans. Sometimes they like to say that there is no Allah, there's no creation, and there's only evolution. Why? They say because you are saying that, the earth and human and their history is about 10,000 years old, maybe 15,000 years old. But we are finding the earth is billions of years old. And now as we go down and dig into the layers and layers of earth, we are finding fossils. And those fossils are also very old. There's fossils that we are finding that are hundreds of thousands of years old. So how does this story of Hazrat Adam up till now, which spans maybe 10 to 15,000 years, how does it explain that? Well, it explains it because Amirul Mu'mineen salatu wassalamu alayhi says, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, says that This is the 70th Adam. This lineage right now is the 70th Adam. That means that there could have been other humans that went through the whole process from beginning to end before us. We are not necessarily the first ones. So any fossils we're seeing and things we're seeing, absolutely, maybe there were humans on the earth hundreds of thousands of years ago. Certainly there could have been. So even jinn were existing way before us. You know how old Iblis is? Like when Iblis, I mean, we hear about Iblis, you know when? During the creation of Hazrat Adam. When Hazrat Adam is created and all the angels are told, now you must prostrate, you must bow down, you must do sajda to this Adam. You must now, and what happens? Iblis doesn't, right? So that is probably where I'll continue from tomorrow, is that we continue expanding on the creation of the universe. But Iblis at that time, he wasn't just born. At that time, he was at least 49,000 years old. 49,000 years, because there's one riwayat in which Iblis talks about his life, and he mentions where he spent 7,000 years, and he mentions 7 places where he spent 7,000 years. 7 times 7? 49. 49,000 years at least, if not older. And then you add in another 10, 15,000 years, this guy's 70,000 years old, and he's your open enemy. So your enemy who's whispering to you has a lot more experience. But then you have someone on your side who was around before Iblis, right? So you don't have to worry about Iblis, because your Imam is from that original Nur. The Nur that was present before anything else was created. When Allah created what He created, before that the 14 Masumin were already there. So that is why, my young ones, that is why we come together to commemorate what we do. Because why do we gather for these occasions and these months? Because we want the truth to be known, and we want the purpose of our existence to be known. And those who oppose it and were fighting against Allah by trying to kill the messengers of Allah, the Hujjat of Allah. Who is this Imam Hussein? This Imam Hussein who was in Karbala, he is the one whose nur was used to create heaven. And do they think they will enter into that heaven by killing Imam Hussein? He was the means to reach heaven. But why? Why did they do what they did? Out of greed, out of jealousy, out of thirst for power. This is why. And Imam Hussein leaves Medina and then Makkah. And he is traveling with his family, with his brothers and sisters, with his children, with his friends. And there comes a point when they reach this land. And when they reach that land, Bibi Zainab from her mahmil takes one deep breath and says, "Oh Abbas, please call Hussein." And when Hussein is called, she says, "Oh Hussein, why have the horses stopped here? I can smell in the air and the sand of this place your blood, O Hussein. Oh Hussein, we should not stay here." Imam Hussein says to Hazrat Abbas, "Call all of the elders of the villages that are nearby so they can tell us what this land is called." And they come and they sit down. They gather around the Imam. The Imam says, "What is this place called?" And they say, "This place has been called," they give various names. One says this place was called Maria. One says this place was called Nineveh. One gives another name, one gives another name. Imam Hussein says, "No, I want to know the oldest name of this place. Call your oldest." And then the oldest man comes forward and he says, "What is this place called?" And the man says, "Karbala." When he hears Karbala, Imam Hussein says, "This is where we will stay now. This is where we will stay." And so they buy that land. Imam Hussein pays those people, and he pays that tribe, and they buy the land. And when they buy the land, Bibi Zainab comes forward. In one narration, she says, "Oh Bhaiya, I also want to partake in the buying of this land." So together the brother and sister buy the land. And then when they're writing down the name, they say, "What name should we put here?" They both, brother and sister, say, "Put down the name of Ali Akbar." say that this is the Jagir of Ali Akbar. And then they write his name down. And then Imam Hussein says to the tribe, and he says, now all of you go, but just the men stay. I want to talk to the men. And then the men sit down, and he says to the men, he says that there will come a time in a few days when there will be a big battle over here, and all of us will be martyred. And at that time, I want you to come and bury us. This is all I ask of you. This land that I have bought from you, I am giving back to you as a gift, but I just have 2 requests from you. The first is, when our bodies are on the battlefield, please come after the army leaves and take our bodies and bury us. The other thing I ask of you is that in the times to come, many people will come to visit this grave. And when they come to visit our graves, I want you to treat them as guests for 3 days. Provide shelter and food and water for them and treat them as your guests. And then they go away. Uske baad Aqa कहते हैं कि अब ज़रा मस्तूरात को बुलाया जाए. जब मस्तूरात आती हैं उस कबीले की, तो इमाम कहते हैं उनसे कि हो सकता है तुम्हारे मर्द फौज को देख के डर जाएं. Allahu Akbar. Maybe they will get scared when they see the army, and they will be too scared to bury them out of fear of death. But maybe the army will not say anything to you women. So please, if your men are too scared, तो तुम लोग आके हमारे दफन कफन का इंतज़ाम कर देना. जब मस्तूरात से गुफ्तगू हो जाती है, फिर मैं अपने इमाम की गुर्बत पे कुर्बान कि अब छोटे बच्चों को बुलाते हैं. जब छोटे बच्चे आके कबीले बनी असद के सामने बैठ जाते हैं, तो उन बच्चों से कहते हैं कि तुम्हें पता है मैं कौन हूँ? तो बच्चे बस देख रहे होते हैं. कहते हैं बच्चों से, तुम्हें पता है अली असगर कौन है? बच्चे कहते हैं जी जी हम जानते हैं अली असगर कौन है. कहा तुम्हें पता है सकीना कौन है? कहा जी हमें पता है सकीना कौन है. कहा मैं सकीना और अली असगर का बाबा हूँ. मैं सकीना और अली असगर का बाबा हूँ. देखो बच्चों, हो सकता है maybe your parents and your mothers and fathers will be too scared to bury us. Do you know from some days from now all of our bodies will be lying here. Oh children, if your parents are too scared, तो तुम आ जाना. बस तुम आ जाना. खेलने के बहाने से दुश्मन तुम्हें कुछ नहीं कहेंगे. बस खेलने के बहाने से हमारी लाशों के पास आना और बस मिट्टी उठा के फेंकते जाना हमारी लाशों पे. فَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ أَلَا لَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. ماتم حسین.
مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں. مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں. اے آب زمزم کے پینے والو, اے آب زمزم کے پینے والو, کوئی ہے پیاسا کربلا میں. مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں. مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں. کیوں ہے بقیہ میں یہ اداسی, روزہ محمد کا کیوں ہے خالی. کیوں ہے بقیہ میں یہ اداسی, روزہ محمد کا کیوں ہے خالی. بیٹے کو رونے بابا کو لے کر, بیٹے کو رونے بابا کو لے کر آئی ہے زارا کربلا میں. مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں بچوں کو مائیں جھولا جھولا کر بتلا رہی ہے لوری سنا کر بچوں کو مائیں جھولا جھولا کر بتلا رہی ہے لوری سنا کر 10ویں محرم کو جل گیا تھا 10ویں محرم کو جل گیا تھا ننھا سا جھولا کربلا میں مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں جب میں مدینے سے کربلا کی جانب چلا تو آواز آئی جب میں مدینے سے کربلا کی جانب چلا تو آواز آئی پانی پلانا کیونکہ ہے پیاسا پانی پلانا کیونکہ ہے پیاسا میرا نواسا کربلا میں مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں شاید یہاں ہو شاید وہاں ہو آؤں کدھر میں بابا کہاں ہو شاید یہاں ہو شاید وہاں ہو آؤں کدھر میں بابا کہاں ہو پوچھو خدا سے کتنا چلی ہے پوچھو خدا سے کتنا چلی ہے بالی سکینہ کربلا میں مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں یاد آ رہی ہے وہ دوستی بھی بچپن سے جس نے ہم کو ملایا یاد آ رہی ہے وہ دوستی بھی بچپن سے جس نے ہم کو ملایا ابن مظاہر کو شہن لے خاں ابن مظاہر کو شہن لے خاں میں ہوں اکیلا کربلا میں مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں ایک ایک آیت نے سسکیالی ایک ایک صورت بھرتی تھی آئی ایک ایک آیت نے سسکیالی ایک ایک صورت بھرتی تھی آئی جب برچیوں پر کچھ حافظوں نے جب برچیوں پر کچھ حافظوں نے قرآن اٹھایا کربلا میں مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں بے حرمتی کیوں کرتے ہو میری آیت تو پڑھتے تطہیر کی تم بے حرمتی کیوں کرتے ہو میری آیت تو پڑھتے تطہیر کی تم رویا مسلمان کی غیرتوں پر رویا مسلمان کی غیرتوں پر زینب کا پردہ کربلا میں مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں اے آب زمزم کے پینے والو اے آب زمزم کے پینے والو کوئی ہے پیاسا کربلا میں مکے میں کعبہ میری جبی کا ہے دل کا کعبہ کربلا میں یا حسین حسین یا حسین حسین حسین
کربلا والوں پہ یہ کیسا محرم آیا، 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 کربلا والوں پہ یہ کیسا خون ٹپکتا ہوا عباس کا پرچم آیا، کربلا والوں پہ یہ کیسا محرم آیا، کربلا والوں پہ جیسے جیسے میرے غازی کا علم جھکتا گیا، جیسے جیسے میرے غازی کا علم جھکتا گیا، پشت میں حضرت شبیر کی بھی خم آیا، خون ٹپکتا ہوا عباس کا پرچم آیا، کربلا والوں پہ یہ کیسا محرم آیا، کربلا کربلا دیکھ لے اسلام بچانے کے لیے، کربلا دیکھ لے اسلام بچانے کے لیے، ساتھ کنبے کو لیے وارث آدم آیا، خون ٹپکتا ہوا عباس کا پرچم آیا، کربلا والوں پہ یہ کیسا محرم آیا، کربلا ظالموں اس کو تو دو بوند پلا دو پانی، ظالموں اس کو تو دو بوند پلا دو پانی، اب لبوں پر میرے بے شیر کا ہے دم آیا، خون ٹپکتا ہوا عباس کا پرچم آیا، کربلا والوں پہ یہ کیسا محرم آیا، کربلا سارے موسم تو گزر جاتے ہیں آ کر، لیکن سارے موسم تو گزر جاتے ہیں آ کر، لیکن بس ہمیشہ کے لیے موسم ماتم آیا، خون ٹپکتا ہوا عباس کا پرچم آیا، کربلا والوں پہ یہ کیسا محرم آیا، کربلا خون ٹپکتا ہوا عباس کا پرچم آیا، کربلا والوں پہ یہ کیسا محرم آیا، کربلا والوں پہ یہ کیسا محرم آیا۔
السلام عليك يا أبو عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين، السلام عليكم جميعا شهداء دشت كربلاء، خصوصا سيدي ومولاي أبو الفضل العباس يا ابن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء، السلام عليك يا سلطان يا أبو الحسن يا علي يا ابن موسى الرضا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، الأمان الأمان. السلام عليك يا شريكة القرآن، السلام عليك يا مظهر الإيمان، السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان، السلام عليك يا إمام زمانه. هذا أجر الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله